completely. Chuck, you and I will be okay.
Got it, Jack.
Yeah,
Clear any of the
straight down this list, correct?
one-time expenses.
Okay.
I can't keep a straight face.
Oh, it's right on the nose.
Good evening. This is the meeting of the Committee on Finance. Meeting is the Committee of the Whole. Just to remind everybody before the meeting begins, please silence your cell phones and note that this meeting is being recorded. While we're inside the chambers, I'd ask that you please rise if possible to salute the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Because he's in the chair.
First on the agenda, we have the Treasurer Collector.
Roll call.
And that is page 7 in our books. Mr. Mayor?
Do we do a roll call? No?
Gordon, do we do a roll call?
Mr. Chairman, if I could?
Or do we not, because it's
It's a
committee?
committee, you don't
Okay.
necessarily have to. If you can, you
No?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
If I could,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, before we move directly to the departments, just a couple of quick comments at the outset. I promise you I will not read that letter again. I appreciate all of you listening intently as I read it, and I know that you've also digested it even more so since last Thursday. I appreciate the time and the attention you are giving to this. We begin tonight with the department-by-department review of the budget that was submitted. These couple of nights we have now are the city side of the budget, and then, of course, next Thursday night is the school side of the budget. And I know, as I said, that you listened intently and are aware of the increases on each of those halves of the budget. Just to remind everybody, the city side projected budget increase is 2.8 million, or 3.38% above last year's approved budget. I think what you'll hear tonight, and then again next Wednesday on the city side, is a relatively lean budget, essentially level funded, with a few exceptions that will be elaborated on by the department heads. I appreciate their input. I appreciate their patience and their hard work at managing their various departments to the best of their ability with what we're able to give them. We have some fantastic department heads who are doing great work every day and leading a great team. And you'll have the opportunity tonight to hear from them and to ask any questions you have about how their departments are operating, as well as particular questions regarding their budgets. But I would like to extend a sincere thanks to all of them. The process called for them to propose what they might need, and then we had pretty direct conversations about what they need versus what we can afford. And we concluded with many of these department heads today with a follow-up on what we've been able to include in the budget. I have advised them that we are at a position now where this is the best we can do for them this year. We do know that there is more work to be done, but they are free to expound upon that and let you know what future needs they may have as well. Before I turn it over to Tim, I just would like to also thank the city auditor, Charlie Doherty, for his invaluable expertise and assistance throughout this process. He is a tremendous asset to the city of Woburn, and I'm really thrilled that he's on our team. So I just want to extend that thank you to Charlie as well. So with that, I would turn it over to Tim Donovan, and I am available if there's any questions that come up beyond the scope of a department head. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the council. I just want to address the treasurer collector's budget for fiscal 2025. Just a couple of notes prior to going into the budget. Thank you. Getting into the budget line items for my department. The treasurer collector's office is not a lot of big significant changes this year. This past year, we did have a lot of changes in the previous year with the loss of one of our key personnel, and we had some shifting of titles and responsibilities, so it was a little bit of a training year amongst the whole staff, but everyone's up and comfortable in their positions and doing a very good job, so we've had a pretty good year, pretty stable year. As far as some of the items in our office of tax collections, they're trending pretty well this year, a little slightly down comparative to last year, but I expect them to be right in line with collections by the end of the fiscal year. Same with water and sewer, and excise also, although we continue to get those commitments out prior to as many as we can on the motor vehicle excise prior to the end of the year. Tax title, we just put an additional 2022 and fiscal 22 and 23 into tax title. We've added that, but the balances, as mentioned in previous years, and Alderman Gately used to always ask, we are still in the just down to 2.5 million, and a lot of that property, some of that major property in there is contaminated land, which is in land court. All those items are in land court, depending on their size and value, progressing along as best you can. It's a very slow process. But collections of attorneys and through our office, working with those taxpayers to try and get it cleared up before it goes too far into tax land court. So it's been going pretty well on the collection there too. Interest on investments has been a great year this year. Of course, the high rates have helped. We're up over 2.5 million for the year, and still got a month to go, so that's a very good comparative to previous years. That's a very significant increase. Get into some of the line items in my budget. Most items in there have been kept at level funded. I did want to note some of the exceptions that we worked with the mayor and Charlie Doherty to discuss and he was go over. And the first one, as you can see, equipment maintenance stayed level funded. The payroll fees asked for about a $2,000 increase. We changed banks. Well, we didn't change. Our previous bank got acquired by Eastern Bank, and I mentioned that last year, but now that new bank has sort of settled in and acquired all their accounts, including ours, they've been slightly adjusting their fees. So we've seen some increases there in the past year. So we had to sort of up the fee line item for that line item for payroll fees. And in addition to that, we also have in there, which is related to payroll, the Affordable Care Act, which we get some assistance on filing that with the IRS. Their fees have slightly increased, but not much. It's more on the bank side. So an increase there. The binding has pretty much stayed the same, although it's getting up against it. That company has gone up a little bit in their prices, but we're still in good shape there. Lockbox fees, we are just steady there, but we are considering a bank change. That's one area that we are changing. Lockbox, because of the bank we're using, has gone up in their fees, and we found a better opportunity. So hopefully that line item will come in far less next year. We're planning on a transition on July 1st, so we expect and hope that that would come in significantly less next year. Our online payment system is, well, we increased that about $1,000 to $1,000 because we have now online payment system which has monthly fees, and also we've had an increase on our deposit slips. It's not a big change, but it's significant enough that we had to request an increase there. Postage is probably the biggest area where we increased from $84,000 to $93,000. I don't know if anyone realized or heard that the post office has gone up every year, but this year they're proposing an increase of 5 cents to the stamp first-class postage on July 1st. That's higher than most other years. It's usually about a 1 to 2 cent increase. Usually happens on January 1st. They already did that increase on January 1st this past year, and now they're proposing a July 1st 5 cents increase, and we had to take into account for that. In addition, that in the case they decide to increase it again in January, like they have done in the past. So we had to adjust our line item there. We're always sort of seen bumping up against our limit there, but I think we should be okay, provided that we took that into consideration, that the 5 cents increase and potentially a 2 cent increase in January. Going down the rest of the line items, the office supplies, checks and envelopes and publications, all level funded. Again, some increases, but nothing significant enough to ask for an increase yet. Professional development, bonding in similar state, and tax title will be determined. That obviously goes to our tax title collection account, where we also have assistance with tax title attorneys who work the cases in the court system, in the land court system, and the arrangement we have with them works pretty well, because what they collect, they don't collect a dime off an account until they collect it in full. So we're not paying anything until they collect in full, and pretty much all of those fees are covered in the payoff that the tax title account ends up having to pay, whether it be in full or at the land court decision, when they go to do a payoff. So I'm open to any questions on those increases, but
Anybody have a question? Councilor Demers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for being here, Tim, tonight. I know as one of the more forward-facing offices in City Hall, your staff does a great job, and you've adapted to that change in staff very well, from what I've heard from my constituents. Kind of dovetailing off of the postage mailing fee idea, is there a paper bill opt-out, or does the state statute require that a paper bill be sent for excise, property tax, and water and sewer? Like, can a taxpayer opt out and like get an email reminder or something
they
along
can.
those?
They can. It's a good question. We have our city online payment system where anyone can go in and sign up. They can sign up, get a copy of all their bills historically, but in answer to your question is they also can sign up to receive an electronic bill. And what we do is we set our reminders to remind people that they have a bill due on the due date. We usually send 3 reminders prior to the bill. One when the bill goes out, that they have a bill out there. Another reminder about 2 weeks later that they have an upcoming bill due. And then probably about a week prior to the due date just to let them know that they have an outstanding bill due. But there have been many people, we've seen an increase in that actually,
Okay.
of people signing up to receive an electronic bill versus a paper copy,
Yeah,
which is acceptable by the state.
Sure. Do you have kind of like a ratio of what comes in, like standard payments versus the online, or?
Oh, that's, we're seeing I don't know the exact percentage, but it's definitely on the rise. Most
Okay.
people are coming in. I mean, I would probably.
I don't want to put you on the spot because that's
No.
kind of a data drag that you probably weren't
Yeah,
expecting
I don't
to be
know
asked
the
about.
exact number. I'm sorry, I can look at that, but,
Yeah.
but it continues to increase.
Okay.
The other thing is most people's taxes, real estate taxes, are paid by the escrow. So that really isn't online.
Mm-hmm. Right,
So if you
right.
take that portion out of it.
Sure.
It's in office versus online. We have different options. We have the online option, we have by phone,
Mm-hmm.
we have by text, we have the Dropbox out back, and of course, we have the walk-ins, and we've seen definitely a decrease in walk-ins.
Great. Yeah, because I only touch on that because the increase in postages and something, it just seems like something if we got more outreach, that might be a low-hanging fruit item to save.
It
money.
is, and when people do note that they'd rather just a electronic bill, what we do is we remove those from the mailing. We have to go in and physically, manually locate which ones have opted out, send that to our printer to remove those from the paper bill.
Great, great.
So-
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President Dillon?
Tim, just want to say thank you to you and your staff. You do a great job, and whatever city council, I know I speak for all of us, and they feel the same way as I do. Whatever support you need, however we can help you, reach out to us. Thank you.
Thanks, Alderman Dillon.
Councilmember Bruin?
I too wanted to extend a thank you to everything you and everyone in your office does. And I don't think you're going to have to worry about the mail pretty soon because nobody over 30 does anything with mail at all.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even know where to put a stamp.
No.
So pretty soon we won't have to worry about that.
No.
So thank you for everything you guys do. I appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you, Alderman Bruin.
Any other councilors? Tim, from the chair, I want to thank you and your department for everything you do. As everybody else said, you one of the most forward-facing departments in the city. Do an amazing job, so thank you once again.
Yep, and they're very lucky, courteous, good staff. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you,
Dr.
Tim.
Viola.
Councilor Viola, may I make a motion to move purchase of DeLuca up to number 2, years of previous engagement?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up, we will have purchasing. It's, page 5 in our books.
Page 5.
Good thing the weekend's coming up.
President, thank you. Appreciate that. Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
It's good to know people. Thank you. So, folks, pretty straightforward for me. Again, level funded, which is fine by me. We run a pretty tight ship in purchasing. It's pretty straightforward. We don't do much outside of the lines that require us to get the job done. So I like moving forward like this. I can operate a pretty good office like this. It works well upstairs. There's just 2 of us in the room. I think we do a pretty good job. And as always, I like to say I love my job, so it's perfect for me.
Councilmember
Any
Spurlock?
questions?
Not a question, just thank you for everything. We were actually, your ears might have been burning the other night. We were talking about the electricity and the brokers for the electricity.
Oh, okay.
And how much you're going to be involved in that, which
Just a
makes
little
me
bit, I'm
very
sure.
happy. Yeah. Makes me very happy. So thank you
Excellent.
to you and your staff.
We're actually, thank you for bringing that to my attention. We're actually looking at the different programs with Direct Energy for, I don't want to speak ahead of the process, but to get more savings for the city. A couple of different programs that I'm looking into right now. So hopefully next year we can report back with that news.
Excellent. Councilor DeMambro?
And just to expand on what Councilor said, Razio, you do a great job. I mean, tireless efforts, always trying to find the best price, best package deal. We appreciate that because your number savings helps our bottom line. So we appreciate everything you and your office
Thank you,
does.
Council.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Excellent.
Councilor Dillon? Sorry, Council President Dillon.
got a little bit to know what you do on a daily basis based on our department head meetings on Thursdays.
That's right.
And I'm very impressed how you crunch the numbers, make sure you're getting the best deal for the city, and look outside the box rather than the typical way we always do things. You're always looking for the new best cost for the city. And I'm very impressed. I appreciate the hard work you do. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It's nice.
Any of the councilors? From the chair, thank you, Orazio.
Thank
Your
you.
department's very important to the city. Look forward to hearing back about the energy savings that we have for our
Definitely.
residents as well. So,
It's an interesting program, so hopefully it'll be good news for us.
thank you.
Excellent. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Phil.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Nice to see you. Thank you all.
So I need a
Hope he's
motion,
going away because he's gonna hear it tomorrow.
need a motion to return to regular.
I'll make a motion to return to regular order of business.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next up is recreation on page 55. Good evening,
evening.
Lori.
Who are we? Thanks, Alderman Dillon, for that. You're lucky it wasn't the school department. We might have had some issues.
You get 1% from his budget.
So you have my budget before you. We have a couple increases to it. To the clinic instructors, summer assistant, just 10% increases to go over some hourly wages upgrades for some of my summer staff. An increase to our maintenance supply, just 10%. 10%, as you know, increases have risen. An increase to utilities from 12,000 to 13,000, 200. As you know, utilities have, constantly continuing to go up. An increase to our bus rental account. We have continued to add more field trips to all of our summer programs, as well as start to do some more during the school year. Bus rentals have gone up dramatically, but we've added some more field trips to that, have been very favorably received by the residents, so we want to continue to add those. And there's also an increase to our special needs summer account. It's about a 25% increase. That is for the increase in the amount of children and adults that need more services in Woburn. There's a rise and increase in population in autistic children. More specifically in the younger levels, we do a lot with the adults, but there's been an increase over in the school system, and there's been a need to add some more summer programs. These programs come with a higher cost because you need to have some more specialized teachers to work with these students. So that's the reason for that increase. Hopefully, as we continue on with those programs, there'll be a need, for more money down the road, possibly in the future of a therapeutic director. That's years down the line, but that's a need that we'll be looking towards as well. That's something that a lot of other rec departments have. We did put in a request this year. It was for a program coordinator. It wasn't funded this year. I did have a long conversation with the mayor regarding it. Obviously, budgets are tight. And it was something that we had gone back and forth on. It's something that we'll definitely need in the future. Realistically, really next year as the spray park opens. The increase in recreation programs with the increase in the growth of the city it's been a lot, and it's now getting to the point where Brian and I are really at where we can handle with programs. In order to continue to offer more programs for the residents, we need to have another full-time person in that office. We've added Spence Farm to us. We run programs out of there 7 days a week. Every other city in town rec department has at least 3 or 4 full-time personnel in their department. So in order for us to be where everybody else is, that's something that we need to look forward to doing. In the summer, we're working 7 days a week till 7 o'clock at night at times, no matter if something happens. One of us is getting a phone call. Same thing during the school year. Once we run the school year programs, there's constantly activities going on. So it's either myself or Brian handling that, and to have one more person to add to that would be very helpful. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
Counselor Demers?
More of a statement. Rory, I just want to thank you for everything that you folks do at the Rec Department and Rec Commission. Having served as a parks instructor, summer sports clinic supervisor,
Yeah.
and summer assistant, I know how far you've come.
Yeah.
You know, God rest his soul, Tom Jones is looking down on this program and really, really seeing it going light years ahead over the 20 years since I've been there. The programs have expanded, the needs of the children have expanded. We've reached hundreds of more residents in terms of the types of programming that you've done that aren't just focused on sports. And I commend your department on your inclusionary efforts for our students with different needs. And also, I appreciate your candor, letting us know that coming down the pike, another full-time position may be necessary to take on that workload, so your
Yeah.
department can continue providing those great services. So I do appreciate everything you folks do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor at Large Toro.
Hey, Rory.
Hi.
So I just wanted to thank you, similar to Councilor Demers, for all the work that you do. Growing up in a rec department, I know how important it is just for the youth to have an avenue to, kind of stay out of trouble and interact with other individuals instead of being at home on a computer and on a cell phone, getting out playing sports or at the pool. So I wish the budget situation was a little bit different and we could have given you that rec coordinator position. We appreciate, like Councilor Demers said, your candor, and certainly we'll take that into consideration moving forward, and hopefully we can fund that at some point. But thank you again. Keep up the good work. You have
Thank
the
you.
support of the council if we can do anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Mercer Bruin.
Thank you. Rory, it seems like yesterday we were appointing you.
I know.
Here we are, a
Wish I was
decade
that
and a
young.
half later. First of all, thank you for everything you do. You and Brian, what you both do in that office is truly for value add to our constituents. It's not wishy-washy at all. It is value add and it is measurable. So thank you. I'm disappointed that we don't see that position here because of those two things, because it is measurable and it's value add. So I'll leave it at that, maybe next year.
Yeah.
I wanted to just briefly touch, you and I talked on the phone about this, but for the purposes of people at home, the 2024 capital budget last year had the money for Leland Park.
Yes.
For the new playground. And I know when we talked, you said that is absolutely in the works and you're moving forward with the bids soon.
Yes.
So people might see that come the fall. Is that the plan?
So I'm just waiting to get in touch back with the playground rep. He's been a little non-communicative. I have had emails back with him recently. We do have some designs that I will hopefully be able to release to you. It's just, it's a busy time right now.
Okay.
My goal would be to have that start this fall.
Okay.
It's a long lead time to get playground equipment shipped here too. So, but my goal would be in the fall.
No, I appreciate
Yeah.
that, and I know we missed it last year because of a variety of reasons,
Yep.
but people, and as you know, Leland Park technically doesn't even fall into Ward 5, but many of my constituency still uses the park, and
Yep.
I don't have to tell you what the playground looks like over there. You're
Yeah.
very much
No.
aware. So fingers crossed this fall, and
Yes.
thank you again for everything you and Brian do.
Counselor DeMambro.
Hi, Roy. Your department does an amazing job. When a budget comes in and you're 1% increase for an overall budget, and I'm sorry we couldn't give you everything on this round, but 1% needs to be acknowledged for everything you guys do in that department and all the events and what you do for the children of this city is amazing with the budget that you're provided. So hats off to you and Brian. You guys do a phenomenal job. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Dillon.
How are you tonight, Roy?
I'm well.
A question and a statement. The
Yep.
question being, until we can fund that budget placement for you for more help, is there the ability that we could get some adult volunteers, maybe a senior citizen to help you with this, just to carry you over, like similar to what the library does?
Yeah, and that's probably something we'll look into, especially for the fall. I mean, it's been hard getting part-time help at times. I think it's changing currently, and that's definitely something we'll look towards doing. We used to have a lot of staff members, and we still do. We have a lot of, they're teachers, whether they're teachers at the high school or they're doing other jobs. We have a lot of people that we can call upon to go handle different programs if we can't be there. It'd be nice to have somebody that was more on a part-time basis to do that for us, but that's something that we can look towards doing, just to help fill our needs for this current year.
Sure. Not a statement. I've told you this many times before. Coming home, I drive right by what I call the old farm stand, Spence. And when that was first going to be turned over to recreation, I recall, there was a little bit of controversy. Some thought it wasn't a good idea. No matter how bad a day I had at work, when I drive by, I see that lit up with you in there in a full house, makes me happy. What a great use. What a great program for something that was sitting there, not used. You brought heart and soul to it. It's just great to see, and as well as all the other programs. So I thank you for all you and your staff do.
It's nice to have it used almost 7 days a week. We have a lot of youth organizations that'll use it for some meeting space, so
Sure.
it's nice that it's not sitting there. I think I was a little hesitant at first when we got it, and now I really enjoy having the space. It's
Winter, summer, fall, spring,
Yeah.
you're in there and it's being used,
It's
so it's
great.
good to see. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Campbell.
Hi, Rory. I just have a question. On Tiffany Limoncelli,
Yep.
what is the recreation revolving offset? So we have the 7,000, then it's minus 7,000.
So that's our revolving account. We fund that part-time person out of our revolving account, which comes in from our programs and fees.
Okay.
That's something, we've had her probably for about 3 years. We decided a couple years ago that we really needed some help in the office with billing, as we do a lot of the parks billing for them as well, and more advertising, more email blasts, and to help us with some more media. And we went out and hired a part-time person, so that's
Okay,
what that
yeah, no,
costs.
that's great.
We pay for that out of our programs and fees that we take in.
Great, okay.
Yep.
I'm so happy that you had good conversations with Mayor Concanon about the
Yeah.
new position, especially with how busy you are in your department. It does look like you're going to need someone next year. And so I'm just very happy that you had great conversations with
Yes,
the
me
mayor
too.
on this. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Lodge Ferrullo.
I'll be brief, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I was going to, the social media, you and I talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
The day you opened the splash pad and there was something wrong with it, the neighbors didn't get mad. The neighbors got happy because you and Brian were down there so quick, talked to the neighbors, put them at ease that it was addressed or going to be fixed.
Yep.
And you guys fixed it. And I mean, that was even better that it wasn't working because they saw how attentive you were to making it work. And I just was so thrilled to watch that unfold on Twitter, how they were talking about how great you guys were. And it just sort of sums it up. It's not just, it was just, you guys were so specific. And that was that hot day that the kids were depending upon it. And
Yeah,
you took a
was.
bad situation, turned it into a really good one. And for that, I thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Papalato.
Good evening. First off, I think it's a difficult time to ask to add to budgets with everything that's going on. But I see what your department does. I see what the volume of programs that you have. I see the amazing job that you all do in there. And I go into that office sometimes and nobody's there. And that's because you're so stressed out. So in my view of it, this is an exceptional situation that we should be adding, and I fully support this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
From the chair, Rory, thank you and Brian for everything you do for both our residents, the adults, as well as the children in this community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rory.
Thanks, Rory.
Thank you.
Night, Rory.
Next up, we have the mayor's office, page 2.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
You'll see on page 2, my office is, we're proposing to begin FY '25 as we are ending FY '24, same staffing, same requests. I want to say I greatly appreciate the support of this council early on in my term when I requested the repurposing of a position for to become Community Outreach Communications. I believe that is having a great impact. I think it's been a great addition to the services that we provide here in Woburn. Countless stories of actual Woburn residents positively impacted and assisted, so I thank you for that. I also thank you for the assistance in providing the position for the Chief of Staff, also having an impact in addressing issues in a timely manner, and hopefully the council members themselves are feeling a positive impact in moving things along and not having stagnation. I'd also say that you'll note that there's the position, the substance listed as Misuse Prevention and Community Support Coordinator, Mackenzie. Not sure if you've had a chance to meet with Mackenzie yet, but she has hit the ground running. As you recall, this was once a part-time position. Rick Jolly, retired police officer, held this position and did great things. It was part-time, and the effort eventually did wane, and we knew that we needed it. We knew we needed to bring it back. Fortunately, we have a funding mechanism in the National Opioid Settlement Fund, which 100% covers the cost of this position, as well as the needs that go with it. So that is fully funded as well. And I would encourage you to reach out to Mackenzie, sit down with her and understand what she's intending to do and what she's already done. She's created a task force. She's got a group of advisors who are helping her, and she also has already begun to directly impact and positively assist members of our community. So I thank you for that support. You'll also note that there's a placeholder for potential salary adjustments for contracts, department heads, et cetera, a reasonable figure that should help us as we successfully negotiate and settle contracts. Further down, under mayor's maintenance, mostly the same, no real increases. There's one reduction in professional development, simply just an effort to try to save anything we can. But again, I would say that the budget I'm proposing in my office to start FY25 is the same as this council has supported here in '24. So I thank you very much for that support.
Anybody got questions? Councilor Demers.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I was just interested if you could touch on how the dynamic has gone in your office with your new office staff, including the chief of staff position and the community outreach position.
Sure. I think it's working very well. We have a great team, cooperative, legitimate team members who are assisting each other. The roles are still being defined, but the work that Diane Merles had always been doing, or trying to address some of the needs, is being even more supported now. Samantha Stone is dealing primarily with those types of calls for assistance that in the past may have gone unaddressed. She has developed an extensive network of community service providers that she can now refer residents in need to. The chief of staff has been helping with daily comings and goings of the office, meetings scheduled, follow up with those meetings, prep for those meetings, handling the coordination of the various department heads with ongoing significant projects. That particular person was helpful during the budget process, particularly when it came to understanding the needs of the school committee and the school department, given his background. And as I said, Mackenzie has jumped right in. She has a particular focus, obviously, the substance misuse as well as mental health assistance. And there's that niche need that she is now addressing. But I would say that it is a team effort. They're all working together. There's some overlap. We are identifying the particular lanes, but so far I'm very pleased with the progress.
Great, because I echo the sentiment on the importance of a full-time substance abuse coordinator. I think, there are some other communities across the Commonwealth that have contracted services, clinicians and so forth that go from head to toe through the process with somebody struggling with an addiction to get them the services that they need. So I think a more roll up the sleeves and full-time approach are gonna help our residents. Because I know we have gotten criticism in the past that, you know, it's kind of been a law enforcement issue or gone to the courts or tried to find resources through other entities. So I think the city stepping up, using the opioid settlement funds for this is gonna go a very long way.
Yeah, and Mackenzie comes to us with prior experience in building programs, and
Yeah.
she has the network of folks already out there in the business.
I'm sure I can speak for everybody else here that we look forward to our first presentation in front of the council because we'd be interested to seeing where she's headed.
Sure.
I know I've been on the council since 2020. This is my 4th budget. And something that's always been bouncing around in my head, and I know there's probably backstory to it, and it could be a third rail when discussing the mayor's budget. But when it comes to the mayor's community services section, we have Home Care Corp., New Path, Council of Social Concern, and the Woburn Boys and Girls Club receiving a total combined of $32,000.
Right.
Now, the only concern I have is these are taxpayer funds that are going to non-governmental organizations. But then I also am on Facebook and I see that the Cummings Foundation is giving very large sum grants to all the organizations, well, most of the organizations listed. So I was just wondering, and you know, I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but could you give
Sure.
the taxpayers a justification as to why non-governmental organizations are receiving
Yes,
$2,000 from the mayor's budget?
I'd be happy to. And I asked these very same questions when I was new to the council. I met with the mayor, I met with the city solicitor, and that helped me better understand why these funds are allocated this way. The long and short of it is, these particular organizations are able to demonstrate a particular direct service to Woburn residents, which justifies the use of the taxpayer funds. I met with the city solicitor, the prior city solicitor, 10 years ago now, and she walked me through the relevant case law, statutory law, and she provided me with the guidance and the backup that demonstrated to me that these were legitimate and appropriate uses of taxpayer funds. And just this past year, as part of our budget prep, we looked a little deeper into the invoicing and the particular services that are being provided by each of these entities to Woburn residents, just so I would have that comfort level again as I put this budget before you. So that's the background.
Okay, yeah, I just look at it, and when I see those other very large grants being awarded to these organizations, I think, you know, we're looking at departments in the city who haven't had additional staffing increases for quite some time, and I do praise the work that all these organizations do. I mean, the Boys Club, the Girls Club has been great for the children of Woburn, keeping them occupied at the after-school programs and a litany of programming. We've all seen how great the Council of Social Concern can be for the community, especially New Path. When I was a legislative aide, I remember going there to all their functions and touring their facility and seeing the great work they do both in their facility and in their group homes. It's just, I'm trying to take a holistic approach at the budget and a better understanding of where we're going if there's going to be expectations of the taxpayers at the end of the budget process. So, thank you.
Sure.
Counselor at Large Ferrulo.
Mayor, I just want to compliment you on Mackenzie. I've had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with her over the last month, and she hit the ground running, and she's embedded in a lot of really positive programs, being only here a few weeks, and I'm excited to work with her toward the future.
Great.
That was a steal.
Thank you.
Counselor Mercer Bruin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Demers, for bringing that up. I remember, Mayor Concanon, when you did bring up the Boys Club and the other organizations and had that conversation. I remember when former President of the City Council, Anderson, brought it up, and I think it's important that we continue to bring it up so people at home understand it and understand what's going on. I just wanted to comment briefly about Mackenzie. I didn't meet her. I did meet her quite by accident. She was literally running down the stairs on her way to counsel someone. And as Councilor Demers said, there are so many people that struggle with many kinds of addictions in many, many different areas, whether it's drugs or gambling or family problems. And there's so few places for people to go. You literally need an investigator to help with that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Council Papalato?
Just a question on the salary adjustment line. Can you give a little description of what that is?
Sure, so that's a placeholder that we tend to use in contract years to have the money available with the expectation that we're going to settle contracts. It also allows for salary adjustments for non-union department heads.
Okay.
It's a placeholder, and the final number obviously is determined through the collective bargaining process.
Okay, so it's not just a department head adjustment fund, because that's a pretty sizable adjustment?
Oh, no, it's for anticipated contract
Contracts.
settlements, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
President Dillon?
Yes. Mayor Concanon, I'm in your office probably 3-4 times a week with meetings. I think you and I see each other more than we see our wives, which I'm sure doesn't please you or me. But your staff, the people you have added, Diane, who was there prior to you, they do a great job. They serve the public and the need that the public needs to be served. They're always there. I call on Samantha 2-3 times a week, asking her advice on particular issues and how can we help this person, how can we help this family, how can we get this news out to the public so that the city is aware of whatever we have going on. Just each and every one of them superstars. That's important that people know that. Your newest chief of staff, the couple months he's been on, he works with me daily on different issues, and it's just more benefit to the city that we're getting more things done in a more timely fashion. And I think the public needs to know that. It's important.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mackenzie, I feel bad for you because you weren't in the office 2 days. Myself and Carmen LaCasey are up in your office saying, okay, here's the deal. We need somebody in here ASAP. We have people in our city, we have families in our city that are struggling. They have no place to go. They don't know how to get to proper avenues to seek out help. Many people have forgotten about the opioid crisis because of COVID, because of our economic times today. We still are in crisis. We still have people suffering. She is out there already making a difference, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me, because it was a need that's finally being filled in this city and that so many people will benefit. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Council DeMembro?
To expand upon what President Dillon had just stated, what I appreciate about the extra staff that you have in your office is the fact that every time I've walked in your office, I can always be addressed by someone if I call. And not only myself, as well as my colleagues, but the residents. I've been in numerous department head meetings like I was this morning, and I appreciate the time. It's great to hear that report of concern is so active, and it's being constantly monitored and addressed with numerous issues that may come across, whatever questions, comments, or concerns. And I owe that to the extra staffing. I know some people might have had questions about it, but I can see firsthand that it is working, and I appreciate it. And as for hiring Mackenzie, absolutely. Absolutely. The city definitely needs someone like that, and hopefully, maybe we might need another one in the future. And I appreciate everything and all the efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou. I appreciate the kind words and the support.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? Well, Mayor, I'd like to say from the chair, thank you for hiring Mackenzie, because on a daily basis, I see what happens when these individuals don't get the help that they need, working where I work. And what she's going to do for the city is going to be immense. And thank you as well for your community outreach coordinator, because I've sent many people her way, and she's been able to help them out greatly. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Next up, we have the city clerk, page 10 in our books.
Hello, everybody. So, the city clerk's office is in charge of relate to the city council, page 1, city clerk's office, page 10, elections, page 11, license commission, page 12, board of appeals, page 16, and traffic commission, page 64. We're pretty much using all of our accounts this year. We've even had to have supplemental transfers to cover the costs of, we had the perfect storm last year. We had 3 citywide elections, the municipal preliminary, the municipal general election, and then also the presidential primary in March. So we do get some reimbursements from the state. The number depends. We don't get full reimbursement for what we submit. It was based on a percentage of voters or whatnot. This year we have asked an increase in clearly my elections budget. It's kind of blown. Costs have just gone up crazy. For the votes, since the Votes Act 2022 with the new requirements with early voting, advance removal, central tabulation, and the redistricting that added that split precinct added direct costs to our election staffing, which includes not just the poll workers, but also the police details and the custodians over time. As other departments have mentioned before, census postage, we asked for a significant increase because last year I asked for an increase. I thought I would cover the costs, and then in January 1, it went up after we've already passed the fiscal year budget. So the budget I have for my census postage hopefully includes another increase that's probably going to happen in January, because I don't know if they've already settled their union contracts for the postal service, but they already, as Tim Donovan already said, they already going up for July 1, and I suspect they'll go up again in January. Also, election and census-related printing costs have gone up. We now have over 29,600 voters, registered voters in the city of Woburn. Those directly relate to costs for ballots and other items such as the census, the annual census mailings. So, in addition, because we support so many different boards, we also got some administrative costs increases finally for some light items for a couple boards, for the licensing commission and the Board of Appeals. The notices we have to send out for not just the city council, but also the Board of Appeals, that card stock, they cost about $500 a whack when we order them, so it'd be nice to have some support for the Board of Appeals. And then the License Commission, we do print a lot of stuff for them too as well. We'll probably be looking for some more increases for printing of ballots in fiscal year 2026, because that is a municipal year. We have to be able to cover the cost of 2 elections. This also includes vote by mail as well for the local elections. In the future, you'll probably see there'll be a capital request for poll pads. Poll pads are used for paperless check-in on election day and for early voting as well. The poll pads are being used in 219 municipalities in Massachusetts. Burlington, Billerica, Lexington, Reading, Wilmington, and Winchester are some of our neighbors that use it. So we're a little bit behind on that. I don't know when that's coming down, but I just wanted you guys to be aware that in the future we'll be looking for this. And again, I just want to thank my staff, Diane, Gordon, Colleen, and Jen. They did an excellent job this year. We got a lot of things thrown on us last minute. They also had to step up and cover some leaves as well. So I can't do anything without them. So I really appreciate their help.
Councilor DeMambro?
Lindsay, you're the most valuable asset I think we have in our city, especially for our city councils. The amount of volume of work that comes through your office is amazing. And the fact that your overall budget went up 0.27%, am I reading that right, is amazing. I hope you have enough money in your budget to do everything you guys do, and I appreciate all the help and support that I get from your office. Thank you.
We should have enough, and if we don't, the mayor's already made a commitment, because election costs, it just all depends on what actually happens, so.
Thank you.
Councilor Sperone?
Thank you. Lindsay, I still miss you up here, but I am so grateful that you're over there. So thank you to you and your entire staff. I don't know how you do it, and I mentioned to Gordon earlier behind the scenes, thanking him for pulling these meetings together, because this is no easy feat, gathering all these people. The same with what everybody else does in your office. A lot of people don't realize they're out at night, too. They're not just in the office during the day. They're sitting at these meetings and taking minutes and then transcribing, and along with all the forward-facing stuff they have to do all day. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
President Dillon?
How you doing, Lindsay?
Hello.
I see you as much as I see Mayor Concanon as well. A great time to just thank you for the guidance that you've given me in order to sit in this seat up there. Your staff, outstanding. When I'm in the clerk's office, I see how they deal with the general public. Always polite, courteous, trying to help. And as far as Gordon here, one of the hardest working people I know. And always, as people will say, Dylan must not have a life because he goes to all these board meetings but I enjoy seeing how the public interacts with the government, and Gordon does a great job. The entire staff is outstanding. I was thrilled to recommend you as a clerk, and my comment was, anytime we can get a licensed attorney to do a clerk's job, I'm going to sign that up, and it turned out to be one of the best decisions we ever made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Demers.
Thank you, Chairman Viola. Lindsay, did I hear you right when you said we have over 29,000 registered voters in the city of Woburn?
Yep, as of today, I pulled it right before the meeting, or Colleen did in the office, 29,686.
And we had 9,784 turn out to one of the hotly contested mayoral races in recent memory.
Yes.
I mean, that just goes to show the taxpayer right there. We have to have enough ballots at every election for every registered voter that we have. And only 9,700 people are showing up. That's them basically negating their own tax dollars being spent on those materials. So I hope that the folks at home take this, message back as I'm not trying to call out our registered voters, but, it benefits their tax dollars if they come out and play a bigger role in our local government and have a greater voice, because 29,000 and we only had 9,000 come out. I mean, it's,
Well, the number was a little lower probably because I pulled the number now and people
but
do vote
still,
on presidential primaries, yeah.
even 28,
It was 28.
27 would
Yeah.
still be staggering. So I just found that interesting to point out. Your office does a fantastic job. Between all the advice that we ask you and your staff, how many times Gordon has to call me to ask if I want anything on the committee agendas the following Monday because I'm at work and I didn't see his email. I do appreciate the patience, the guidance, and the attention to detail to make sure that all of us look good up here and do the processes of the city government in a way that, doesn't cost us in the long run. I do appreciate everything your office does. Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, Lindsay, thank you and your staff for everything you do. As one of the most forward-facing departments where people are always, anytime I come in, the office is always busy. You and your staff do a tremendous job, as well as both you and Gordon at all of our meetings. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Next, we have the Council on Aging on page 50.
Good evening, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks to everybody. So, we're awesome, everybody knows that. So in terms of our budget this year, I do have some requests. I'll go to the maintenance first. I did request of the mayor a small bump up in our dues education for the Mass Council on Aging. We pay dues and we also go to trainings and things like that. So that went up, a modest increase from 1,500 to 3,000, so thank you, Mayor. And then in terms of our salary, so for some, if you look at the salaries on the page there, the outreach coordinator is paid entirely through our executive office, the formula grant that's based on the number of seniors. So that's paid for entirely by that. We are without an outreach coordinator right now. We did look in the fall, but we just with dismal results. A $52,000 salary just wasn't cutting it. We finally did find somebody who was qualified in social work and things like that. The need is there. People are suffering. You're talking about Mackenzie. I met her. She's wonderful. I think she's going to be a great asset. We need someone in that building. The loneliness, the grief, there's dementia, there's mental health problems. I mean, it's combined with maybe an increased cost of living and poverty. People, I encountered so many things, and having someone who is, has a clinical license, has a master's in gerontology, and understands how the systems work, and could even, maybe if we found someone to do counseling on their own. So what we did was we pulled it back, and instead I proposed, and have spoken to the mayor, an outreach social worker. So I tried to find something that wouldn't, you know, so $52,000 would have to go to at least $74,000, and I pitched it to the SEIU union. That's where the position lies. So we get our funding from our formula grant funding. We get $142,000 a year. As it is right now, about half of that goes to support salaries. So if you look, a portion of the part-time van drivers, a portion of the transportation coordinator, and the program and volunteer coordinator. I've also proposed an increase for the transportation coordinator salary, because if you look at it, that position actually qualifies for low-income assistance, and it's a full-time position. It was a new position. It doesn't really fit neatly in other categories, so those are both the SEIU positions. We can use grant money. Working with Charlie and the mayor just to figure out the grant money, they're looking for an increase from $14 per senior, and we've got about 10,800 seniors. So we get about 142,000. But so I don't want to use it all, but I don't want to drain the whole thing. But that's a position that we definitely need. So it is in my proposal to the SEIU, and I've discussed it with the mayor, and I've had some initial support, so we'll talk about the money and the details later as the, as the union negotiations move on. I know everybody's pressed. We work really hard to, with, not a ton of money. We use the state money, and so I'd say, the small staff, there's about 6,000 active members of the Woburn Council on Aging. Last year, we recorded 26,000 separate check-ins. I use tax work-off that doesn't sound right. Tax work-off employees serve in a variety of ways. I have 2 part-time receptionists, because we only have 1 part-time receptionist for a very busy senior center. They're great. I have 1 pickleball instructor. She earns her hours by giving free beginner pickleball lessons. We also have someone helping Paul Medeiros, who is great. He takes care of the building. He can fix anything. I call him Sergeant, don't tell him. No. He helps me keep everything in order. And so to get a little help for him has been great. So we use the tax work-off for that. Our Friends Helping Seniors group, last year, the last year that was recorded, which I think was 2022, but $10,000 in support of some postage, but programs, lunches. So they're raising money all the time. And so we do, Lynch Cantillon just donated $3,000 for our volunteer recognition event in August. The Rotary Club's been phenomenal. So we make do with what we have, and there's a lot of support out there, and I intend to find more. I would just say, on the salaries, and something else I'll talk about in a minute, we need competitive salaries. We need to be able to get somebody who's really qualified. So there's a lot of people there's a lot of joy up there too, but there's a lot of people who are suffering, and we need to be able to meet that need right where they come. So so that is that. The other request, big request that I'm making, we've talked about last year, you'll see probably still in the capital budgets, is $25,000 that Mayor Galvin had approved, and I've now requested from Mayor Concanon $55,000 to add to that to get 1 new van. We need 2 new vans. We've got 2 vans that are 12 years old or older, and they're just starting to fall apart at this time. I think we've registered about 5,500 rides a year. That doesn't include about 408 deliveries of taxi vouchers for people who are either homebound or don't have a ride to come get them. food pantry deliveries to people who are homebound and in bad circumstances. That's for veterans and seniors. We have 4 fantastic part-time van drivers, actually 5, and they're all great. They're trained. We had some training held at the senior center. The transportation coordinator, Catherine Shaughnessy, is doing an incredible job. It's very busy, and we transport about 25 people a day, 2 vans from their homes to the senior center and then back home again. And we do have scheduled times that we leave, but, you know, it's all day long, and who wants to go home or who needs to cancel. It's a work in progress, but without it, I mean, I get emotional. They'd be home. They'd be home, and a lot of people be home by themselves, even if they live with family. They're out, they're at school, they're working, you know, whatever it is. This is, you know, it's a lifeline, and they come and they make new friends, and, you know, even though some people at first will be like, I'm not going to the senior center, there's nothing for me to do there, but there's a ton of stuff to do there. We have, in addition to that money there, State Rep Haggerty and Chicolo, I always say that wrong, have proposed $75,000 in the state budget. So there's money in flux here. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping they'll approve it. Our Friends Helping Seniors group is running a dance June 12th. We're still trying to raise money to offset it. So if we don't need all the money, we won't take all the money. So, but we really need the two new vans. The 2019 van is a little beaten up, but it's okay. But the 2 other vans, you know, because if one's broken down, we really have to have 3 vans at all times. So we have money in a revolving account. If we used all of that, it would leave no room to grow, and but we can use some of that money. So there is money to offset, but that's what I'm asking for in the capital budget. Other places where we saved money. We got $4,200 grant from the Mass Council on Aging. We purchased 9 new computers for our computer room, a new sound system for our expanded courtyard, which was funded almost entirely with more memorial donations that were made to the Friends Helping Seniors. So we're going to be celebrating that soon. You can come over and have some ice cream. And our Friends group will also contribute some money. So it's $55,000 that I'm requesting. I'm hoping to offset that. Maybe if the state approves, who knows, if they approve that whole thing. So it's a little bit in flux. I would say that the salary positions are more, you know, those we'd really need some help with. But I would say that, just so you know what we do, for some folks who might not know, we serve about 150 to 200 seniors every day. And we work with Minuteman Senior Services, Meals on Wheels program, 120 meals go out the door every day. Shine Counseling, last year we served 400 seniors. That was more than all the 18 cities and towns served by Minuteman, including Cambridge and Somerville. We're in a great location. There's parking. We have van service that will come pick people up for that. We have a podiatrist. The vans take the people in for that. We have 250 pickleball players. That can drive me crazy sometimes, but no. It seems to be working really well. They've all become members of the center. So during the operating hours, we have Council on Aging members who are pickleball players. I think people are starting to get a little bit more invested. I'm hoping to have a fundraiser pickleball tournament at some point. But it's a great addition. It gives a great feel to the grounds. It makes it really active. Our garden committee just planted a bunch of produce that will be given out to all the seniors. So we're hard at work at that. We have volunteers doing that. The fire department's been great. We do the carbon monoxide and smoke detector home installation program. They also just did a safety program. The police department's great. They do that prescription drug take back. So we're partnering with the veterans. We just had a Memorial Day event. So we're really active. I can't say enough about the people who work there and volunteer their time. they're really dedicated, and so I appreciate being there. I love my job. I get emotional. Oh, my God. So I appreciate your support and your consideration for those positions and the things we're asking for. Thanks.
Councilor DeMambro?
Hi, Marie.
Hi.
You do a phenomenal job. I live 8 doors down from there. I see the van go by my house numerous times a day. I go by there every day. Parking lot's always pretty much full. I've been there numerous times for breakfasts, for lunches, to help serve the seniors.
Yes, you have?
You have a full house. Last week, the Memorial Day program you had a full house.
Yeah.
I don't think there was an empty seat. You do a phenomenal job, all the programs. I see how it benefits the seniors, involved in all the activities up there, the crafts, the things you guys do. You also volunteer to make things in celebration of different holidays, and you hand them out. The music, the entertainment you have up there, the grounds, the pickleball, I see that. That's been popping. I see people in that area all the time, even on the weekends. That court's always full. You do a heck of a job. You and Paul, your staff, you guys do a great job over there. The grounds are immaculate. And I appreciate everything you do, and anything you can do, we can do to support you, I am in support of.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Campbell?
Hi, Marie.
Hi.
Thank you for all that you do. It's not an easy position being the director of the senior center and the Council on Aging. The amount that you've done in the years that you've became director is tremendous. I've seen it grow, especially at first going through COVID. That was difficult, I know, because we had talked. But now with pickleball and all these other wonderful things for the seniors, it's great. But I truly believe you need this, what is it, a COA outreach coordinator? Actually, I want to make a plug that with the typeface is bigger next year on these papers. But I think that's needed. I mean, these seniors, they are lonely. They are lonely. Their children are grown. If they didn't have children, they don't have. There is no one there for them, and they need that support that you're giving these people. So that, to me, I'm hoping this is going to work out with what you're trying to piece together. And then if not, then I do hope, and I'd like to say this to the mayor, that we could focus on getting something like that next year for you. If it doesn't work out, I'm hoping it will.
Mayor has been supportive of me moving
Great.
forward and talking with y'all when we said.
Yeah, I mean, with everything you're talking about, you know, you have 10,800 seniors, 6,000 active members. That is tremendous. So that's kudos to you and what you're doing, and for the staff that are working with you, for sure.
And the volunteers.
And what you had said, I believe is true. This is a lifeline for the seniors. Just knowing that there's somebody there, to have a little hope, showing a little love, a little guidance. So I just, once again, would like to thank you very much for what you're doing. Please keep up the good work, and I would absolutely support the COA outreach coordinator in the future. But thank you.
Councilor Papalato?
I may be the only member of the senior center in this group here, I'm not sure. But I do participate in a limited number of programs there, and I hadn't spent a lot of time there until the last year or two. And it's an awesome place. It really is. It's growing, it's vibrant. The people are all friendly there. Not only the workers, your DPW support, the people that work for you, but the vibe that you get from the people in the building is amazing. I especially like the exercise program that you have, that everybody's walking around the building multiple times, and it's really, really a neat place, and you've done a great job.
The leader she does tax work-off hours, walking with Wendy. She does a gentle stretch and the walk, and she does the tax work-off, so it's good.
President Dillon?
I'm older than you, I should go up with you.
Well,
I suggest you sign up over there.
I was just gonna mention, Counselor Ferrulo, you and I maybe can get a twofer, right? Marie, on a serious note, your staff, you do a great job over there. I think we all need to remember the seniors that need a little help from us now are the ones that built this city and handed it to us in great shape. They worked hard all their life. It's easy for us to say we work hard. They worked hard. Some of them went through the Depression. Some of them went hungry during the days. Now is our time to give them a little relief and pay them back for the great gift they gave us, handing us this city that they worked so hard to build at. I can only hope that someday the future will say that about all of us, because they certainly deserve everything you provide for them. So thank you for doing that, you and your staff. And Paul Medeiros is amazing. I've seen him in action.
He can fix anything.
He can indeed.
He is amazing.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Counselor at Large Toro.
Thank you. Hey, Marie. I just want to say thank you for everything you do. I've attended multiple events similar to Councilor DeMambro at the Senior Center. And you and your staff and even the members, the senior citizens that are at the events are always very welcoming, always super happy. You know, at the Memorial Day program that we were at recently, I was challenged by a few of your members at a couple games of whisk, so I do have to make my way down there at some point. But just thank you for everything you do in serving the population. I think we have, you know, close to 30% of our population are senior citizens in Woburn. So it's a very important program and very, very important role. So thank you again.
Thank you, Councilor.
Counselor Mercer Bruin.
Thank you. Thank you, Marie. We were very lucky that you were interested in this position, so thank you. You serve one of the most vulnerable populations, which I believe is closer to 38%, but you were close. And I want to echo the words of President Dillon, because he said your organization and the group that you've put together over there provides relief. And that's one of the most important things that we, as a city council, and as a city, can do for our most vulnerable population. So I would echo what City Councilor Campbell said. I think that position is extremely important, given the work that you're doing down there. And again, I just want to say again, that is part of our responsibility as councilors here, to make sure we provide relief for everyone, but especially our most vulnerable population. You mentioned you see a lot of people that are struggling financially. So that is something we really, really, as we're having these discussions, must keep in mind. Thank you, Marie.
Counselor DeMambro.
And I just want to touch note on one thing. I want the public to know it's not just a place to play pickleball or to hang out and watch TV or a movie. There's intelligible resources there. If they have questions, anything about this or that, any type of matters that they need or they might need help with, oil services or whatever, or questions about Social Security or this and that. You run a boatload of programs down there, you know, advising the seniors as well as the police department, fire department, going down there and helping them. It's not just a place to kind of hang out and play chess and checkers and hang out, have coffee. There's a ton of resources down there.
That's right.
For the seniors, and if they have questions or they, you know, feel a little insecure, you know, reach out to their kids or whatever to get that information, because I know you have a ton of it down there, and it really, it needs to get out to our seniors, and I appreciate you getting it out to our seniors. Thank you.
Counselor Demers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marie, thank you for everything that you and your team do down there. I only wish, as the liaison, I've had more free time to get over there. It seems like every time there's a big event, like the Red Sox event, I'm away, or St. Patrick's Day, I had to be in the work office. So I know that I spoke with Amy O'Brien, and I plan on coming to visit, just popping in to say hello and maybe have impromptu office hours down there to make sure I reconnect, because I know when I worked for Representative Dwyer, I was there a lot.
Anytime.
From serving meals with my uncle cooking in the kitchen, to singing with some of the entertainment that have been down there. So, and I think the rumors have gone around, I'm a big karaoke fan, so I'll be at one of the next events with live entertainment. Thank you for everything you do, it's well appreciated.
A sight for sore eyes.
Counselor at Large Ferrullo.
I don't want to be left out, so I'll just say thank you for all you're doing. Even though I can't get my dad to go up there, I know you know where he is. But thank you so much.
He won't come down the street.
Well,
I've knocked on his door a couple of times.
That's outreach.
but thank you so much for all you do, Marie.
Marie, thank you for everything you've done for our aging population. As Jeff has said and Darlene said, whatever we can do to help them, please reach out to us, because they've done so much for us before, so thank you.
Thank you. We've got a great staff, volunteers. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you.
Next, we have up fire on page 24.
24.
Chief, before you begin, I just want to say thank you to your men that helped out on Memorial Day when we had an issue at the cemetery, so thank you.
Welcome. Good evening, Council. Chief Kenton. So Woburn Fire is showing a 7% increase this year, and that is largely due to 5 new firefighters. These firefighters will graduate in a couple of weeks, and this is an effort to cut some overtime. The operating budget, we've got some modest increases. A couple of the training, we went up a little bit, and in our traffic signal maintenance, we went up a good amount. Beyond that, they were modest, some modest increases. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Councilor DeMambro?
Chief, you and your team do a hell of a job. I see your trucks go by my house constantly. I hear yous all over my end of town. I got the scanner going, the squawk box is always lit up. You guys, for what you guys do with a 7% increase, 24/7, 365 days of the year for our city and surrounding communities, you guys do a heck of a job. And how you guys do it and keep it all together is beyond me. Anything we can do to support our men and women in the fire department, please let us know. We will support you. Thank you.
Councilor Demers?
Chief, statement first. Just want to commend everything that your department does for the city, especially in recent news, the response on Richmond Park. When I saw the post online, running into the fire was the first thing I saw. And I think, at many times we take for granted our public safety personnel here in the city, but that's it. That's what the tax dollars are paid for. That's what our appreciation is. That's the
Two
commitment.
children got saved.
That's the commitment.
That was
Yep,
a
that
great
was-
job by the
That's
by
the
the guys.
commitment that your men and women on the fire department do every day. And, I take great pride when we have good outcomes come from sad situations.
Yeah.
Due to the professionalism of your staff. So I do want to send my thanks greatly for that. I'm just delving into the budget, and I see on the overtime account is budgeted at 1.4 million.
Yep.
Can you kind of explain that a little bit in terms of how it's used across the board?
So the-
Because my only thought process is that's a pretty decent number.
Pretty what number?
That's a pretty decent number. It's
Yeah,
a pretty
so-
big number. So I'm thinking versus
It's up.
your cost benefit of hiring more staff versus the overtime line item.
Right. It's up 100 from last year.
Okay.
Still, and we went over quite a bit this year due to staffing challenges.
Sure.
So the addition of the 5 firefighters is going to help keep that number closer to what
Okay.
we're budgeting.
Okay, great.
We hope.
Okay, yeah, but I was just trying to bring up that topic, and is it something down the line, we may need more firefighters, where that number could lower if we hired more firefighters?
Right, we're still working to try to find the sweet spot of,
Sure. Yep, no, I just want to make sure we're helping your department run optimally, and then also being cognizant of the fiduciary
Yeah, and we do
responsibilities
meet,
we have.
Mayor, we meet and do statistical
Great.
meetings monthly, and so
Great.
we're on it.
Awesome. I do appreciate that. Thank you. I just wanted that for the folks at home, too.
Yep.
To understand how we're funding it. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
President Dillon?
Chief, how are you tonight?
Well, thank you.
The men and women of your department are heroes. There's no other way to say it.
Appreciate
Just
that.
based on the recent development of the fire right down the street here. Without regard for their own safety, they save lives. It's truly something to admire, knowing that they leave in the morning and not sure they're gonna come home to their family. It's a calling that it's admirable. But the other thing that, other things that you folks do is just as impressive. I recently called you, it had nothing to do about fighting fires. It was more of trying to help a business and a resident work out a difference. And without giving out too many details, the cooperation I had from you and your staff went above and beyond to try to help a business that was in trouble and a resident that was in trouble and bring them together for a solution that would work. That you would look at the situation, you would say, the fire department doesn't have anything to do with it. But truly it did because of all the inspections you do. And that's the other thing that the public should know, how many inspections you do on a daily basis for the many companies, businesses, residences that we have in the city. It's a full-time job in itself, just trying to take care of that. And you do it professionally, you people. They do it with a smile. It's very impressive. Again, just want to say thank you to the men and women that you have in your department. They're part of our community, and that's probably the most important thing. They feel like they're part of our community because they are, whether they live in Woburn or not. Thank you.
Council Mercer Bruin?
Thank you. Thank you, Chief, to you and your entire team. I want to just, first of all, thank you. At the beginning of the year, you guys were right out the door, as you always are, and you were over on Richard Circle. I'm 60 years old. I grew up on that street, and I never remember a fire like that. And nobody was hurt because your team was there fast and took care of it, just like you do all over the city. So thank you. And I know that I've been calling on you recently for things that have to do with businesses, which is quite outside your regular inspections and other things that have to do with traffic and those things. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And I just wanted to follow up briefly on the question about the finances, because our responsibility here at this council and government in general is to make sure the public is safe and to watch out for their wallets, both at the same time. So the 5 new firefighters, the overtime number, it is big, but the thing I worry about the money, obviously, but I also worry about your staff working so much overtime that it's not good for them, not good for their health, not good for their families.
It's an issue.
It is an issue. It absolutely is an issue. We see the same thing at the hospital, right? If nurses have to do extra shifts because there aren't enough nurses to do it, it's not good for anyone. So we'll see potentially this overtime number come down, correct?
We will.
And that is, that also takes into account the number for the salaries and the pensions and the longevity. In the long run, this is a good thing financially and for the health of our firefighters, which is also important.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councilor Papalato?
Chief, we caught up maybe a month ago or so, and you educated me on a number of different things that were going on, and I had a million questions for you, and you were great answering them. But one thing you brought up was the fact that if you had some additional technology on the trucks, that would really push you guys forward from is that baked into this, or it didn't?
It is, and that's underway. We have a new, we're working on a new CAD, we're working on a new staffing module, a new report writing module. These are all happening as we speak.
Awesome.
And that's all built into this.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Counselor Campbell.
Chief, I'm so happy that you're getting 5 new firefighters. I mean, that's wonderful. I know this is something you've been wanting to get, and
Yeah.
I think this is going to work out financially very well for the city, but also for us as residents of Woburn to have these 5 new firefighters. And I have to thank you once again for Richmond Park and what the men and women did by saving the 2 children who could easily have perished in that fire. And the facts that they did just go right in and the children weren't harmed. And so I really want to thank you and the firefighters for everything that they do and the work that they do.
I would like to point out, one of the new firefighters will be the first female firefighter on the fire department, City of Woburn Fire Department.
Wonderful.
That's
We're
great.
excited about that.
Yes, okay, great. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Counselor at Large Ferrulo.
I'll be brief, Chief. Not only the quantity and how you're doing it big, the quality of the guys that you have on the street and the professionalism, the way they represent the community and more specifically your department, both in appearance, demeanor, and response is extremely commendable. And, missing being involved in the game, I listened to all the radio traffic from the other night, the professionalism, the execution of what they did up there. It wasn't just the guys who were there, it's how they did what they did. And as a career-long public safety professional, I recognize it, I appreciate it, and congratulations to you, man.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? No? Well, Chief, I want to thank you and the men and women from the fire department for everything that you do. Also,
Say
I
women
want to...
now. That's good.
Yeah, this,
But I also want to say thank you for the quick response that you guys did have to the Woburn Animal Hospital, to the fire up there within the past week as well. You did a tremendous job knocking down that fire. Could have been a lot worse than what it was. The one question I do have is now, do we have 2 consoles operating right now?
Do we
For,
have
to answer phone calls? Do we have 2 stations?
2 dispatchers?
2 dispatchers.
During the day,
Okay.
day shift, which is incredible help for us,
Right. Excellent.
So thank you.
Anybody else? No? Well, thank you very much, Chief.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Appreciate it.
Next, we have the Board of Health on page 47.
47.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
Hey, Jack.
evening.
Hey, Jack.
We have a 1988 budget, same to the penny, except for salaries and trash. So, there you go.
We appreciate your consistency.
Anybody have any questions? Councilor Mercer Bruin.
I ask the same question every year, Jack. Not about rats this year, not about rats. It's about the trash. Because I think a lot of people take for granted sometimes what a great trash program we have compared to any of the cities and towns around. And that is not going to change.
Might change a little.
How?
We haven't, prevailing wage has been like crippling us as far as cost. And we've been trying for years to increase recycling rates and what have you. And finally, we've been negotiating with Waste Management, and they've come up with a way of possibly being able to introduce the rolling bucket, non-manual, automated pickup.
Oh,
And
okay.
so there's some things afoot. We might want to try increasing the recycling rates by giving everybody a recycling bin, a rolling bin.
That gets picked up by the truck. Is that what is that the one that?
It gets
It
picked
get
up by
picked
the
up
truck.
by the
Yeah.
truck, okay.
And we'd probably use a 96-gallon toter for that, which would increase the recycling rates and decrease the trash rates. And once we get a hold on how much the trash goes down because the recycling goes up, we'll probably want to institute a 64-gallon bucket for trash. The things that are still flexible are leave disposal, bulk item pickup. We're still in discussions with it. We haven't decided which way we're going, but Waste Management still obviously has the inside track because they're a great company to deal with. And we've had some negotiations with them, and we're still in a state of what do we want to do that saves the city some money and continues to give excellent service.
Thank you. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Counselor Demers?
How you doing, Jack?
Hi, Joe.
Question on the trash discussions, and I really haven't been
Yep.
following too far along with them. I know years ago, and this is not that long ago, but wasn't there a movement to put stickers on regular trash barrels that said recycling, and you could buy something from Ace Hardware and put a green recycling
Yeah,
sticker
we give them
on
out every day.
You
We
give
have
them
a
out every
stack
day.
of bumper stickers
And
that you can pick up any vessel right now
Right.
that you put a recycling sticker
And
on.
Waste Management will take that? Pick that up as a
Yeah,
recycling?
and it works because we stopped giving out the small bins.
Right,
So
exactly.
barrels will try to
So have we
increase
kind
the
of, have
amount.
we kind of plateaued on the recycling participation?
Well, we obviously want to, sometimes, Joe, it depends on the blended value of the product.
Right.
I mean, I've had it cost $121 a ton to get rid of recycling when trash is only $90.
Right.
Well, that's changed. It's down to $60 a ton, so it's worth it. So it always depends on the marketing of the recyclable materials.
Sure, and then the automated pickup is a savings that we would realize
Well,
versus the
that
trash
saves,
barrel?
the actual prevailing wage right now is $47 an hour. So anybody that's working on one of those trucks is making that.
Right.
And if we can eliminate one of those, it saves us some
Okay,
significant
so the
amount of
cost
money.
benefit of shifting from that and then providing barrels?
The barrels would be provided by Waste
Waste
Management.
Management, okay.
We would be renting them, more or
Leasing them.
less. You know, so I think they amortize them for 10 years.
Okay.
They'll last for 20, but they want you to pay for them for 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they come up with a great number so that it's attractive now. For the past 15 years, there've been a couple of $1 million that you couldn't amortize over a 3-year contract.
Sure.
They've finally got it down into something that we can deal with, and it's time. You can't. There's not that many contractors out there
Yeah.
that will pick it up the way we pick it up.
Right.
So, I mean, I've nurtured that program for the last 20 years, and I've got it so that everything can get picked up. I've got the right kind of truck to pick up any dumpster in the city. Well, it's not the right way. It costs you money to do it, and they want to go commercial with all the dumpsters. They want to go overhead.
Yeah.
Some of the recycling, like the schools have recycling toters. They want to put a dumpster. Depends on whether they fit or not. So there's still a lot of work to do, but the savings is, we've got a number that, I mean, the savings could go down as much as 13 or 14%.
That's great.
So it's significant.
Just spitballing here because I'm naive to the process. With the automated pickup, is there going to be issues with some of our more colonial laid-out streets in the city that are pretty tight right now?
I'm sure there's some back downs that'll be tough to get, but, I deal with everything
I know.
that happens, you deal with it on a daily basis.
I know my colleague from Ward 2 and my colleague from Ward 3 have some streets I'm very familiar with that are tight
Oh,
squeezes.
I know where they all are,
Yeah.
for sure,
All
for
right.
sure,
I would
I
just
got
think-
people that don't want to bring the stuff up, they think that you're gonna back down with wires that are 10 feet off the ground,
It just seems like anytime we compare that type of service,
Well-
we're comparing it to other places that are more gridded out.
I'm expecting some upset
Okay.
if and when this all happens, then, but people are pretty smart. You know, if you put a bin in front of their house, they're gonna know what to use it for.
Yep.
You know, so,
Thank you, I
there
appreciate
you
it.
go.
President Dillon?
Jack, I'm sure I don't have to tell you this. You have a great staff.
I know. Oh, I do. That's great.
Right at the front desk, Trish Bergeron, just the first one everyone sees, pleasant, a smile.
Yeah, she's the good cop. Then they get on the phone with me and it's over, so.
But she always has the information, the
Very good.
answers, and
Very good.
she's
All of them,
an asset.
you know.
And
John and
I,
Megan are both wonderful. too.
I'm gonna go to Megan. I won't get into details. I'll just say that it was late on a Friday afternoon. A business needed an inspection from you folks.
Oh, yeah.
It was really, really important to them. And again, I've said it many times in this chambers, that we need to help businesses equally as much as we help residents and our constituents, because they shoulder the tax burden for us. Make a very long story short, she jumped into action, took care of the inspection after hours, and I got a call from the business after the fact, thanking me. I said, don't thank me. I said, all I
Otherwise, they
did...
would have lost 2 days' pay.
Right. I said, you had 6 people in there working different shifts, and the public was served. But more importantly than that, that reputation that Woburn Board of Health cares and was able to generate that good
That's a tough one to
publicity.
keep.
You know, that really,
one to keep.
she went above and beyond, and I just can't say enough about how she handled that particular situation.
It's hard sometimes because you've got to be an enforcer too, so.
Absolutely.
There's nothing easy about it, that's
No.
for sure.
But just
You know,
wanted to...
You're giving somebody a bad deal when you're giving somebody a good one, so it's
I
par for the course.
understand, but great staff and appreciate it. Thank you.
Counselor DeMambro?
Hi, Jack.
I go.
You guys do a great job down there. Let me just ask you this. In regards to this automated system, and you said you're going to go with a 64-gallon toter as opposed to a 96. The 96 will be for the recycling, the 64 will be for common trash.
Yep.
What about for the family that's got 4, 6 people in
There'll
it?
be provisions for either a
And-
bag buy, you can pay per bag, we'll probably put them at local hardware stores or what have you. Or if you're continuously over, you'd be able to buy another bin.
So you can buy another tote.
Yeah, there'll be a provision that you can pay like $125 and we'll pick your bin up for the whole year. So that hasn't been worked out yet, but that will be an option. So
And-
anybody that has 5 kids and a mountain in front of their house won't get screwed by this.
So that $125 buy-in or whatever to get another tote, is that yearly or would that be just a
That'll
one?
probably be yearly.
That would be yearly. Okay. Good there. And just one more question regarding it. Can you get down to Lowe's, buy one, and slap one of those stickers you got down in your office on it? Oh, is that, no.
No, they'll deliver one. It'll have a code on it, so we know where it was delivered, who got it, so that nobody can steal them, you know. And we'll put one in front of everybody's house.
Okay.
According to the assessors, you know, everybody that's required to have one, 2, and 3 families, and they'll get one. We'll put it right in front of their house and see how that works, and when we know that that's working and the recycling rates have been going up, we've got the option to go away from manual trash pickup to a smaller, you know, the recycling bin will be a 96 gallon, the rubbish would be a 64.
64. Okay, excellent.
So,
Thank you, sir.
If it comes to fruition, that's,
Understood.
but it's leaning that way.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay, nice to see you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jack.
you for everything, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
Next, we have Conservation Commission. Conservation, on page 14.
Members of City Council, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the first time in a long, long time, I am here to present a budget request that is not level funded, nor is it cut. The budget that is before you currently includes funding for an administrative support position. This funding provides a valuable benefit to the department and better service. The Conservation Department has been woefully understaffed for decades. All administrative tasks are currently undertaken by the department head. A full-time clerk would be able to perform many administrative and office operations, allowing the department head some uninterrupted, focused time to perform technical reviews and to meet with consultants, applicants, other government officials. It would allow the Conservation Administrator to better advise and support the Conservation Commission in its mandate to administer the wetlands laws and regulations. The Conservation Administrator reviews filings and plans for compliance with applicable performance standards, helps prepare commission members for hearings and site inspections. The Conservation Administrator attends and participates in Conservation Commission meetings and drafts findings and suggested conditions for the Commission's consideration. The wetland regulations are technical and detailed. Compliance with stormwater management standards is now required. The Commonwealth has drafted proposed changes to the Wetlands Protection Act regulations and the Massachusetts Stormwater Handbook to address the challenges of climate change. Each revision requires new training and acquisition of knowledge. A comprehensive understanding is needed to help advise the Commission and help guide applicants through the filing process. Department staff also supports the Commission in running successful programs. Conservation Day was held on May 4th. Conservation Commission and staff came together with many volunteers to get a lot of work done. The Commission was supported by city officials, including City Council as a whole and individually, the mayor, DPW, other city employees who assisted prior to and during Conservation Day. The Commission appreciates the many groups that were there as a part of the day, including, but certainly not limited to, the Friends of Horn Pond, the Mystic River Watershed Association, the many scout troops, Woburn Lions, the Golf and Ski Authority and the Pro Shop, and the Woburn Memorial High School Green Team. The Commission is sincerely grateful to all who participated. The new Community Gardens Coordinator is doing a great work. She set up the gardens, they're open, and signed up over 100 both new and returning gardeners. The Popular Tree Program had another successful year. All the trees were sold out. People were very happy with the quality of the trees, and the weather was very good. And although much has been accomplished with limited resources, at times it has been necessary to triage work like in a hospital emergency department. Primary attention must be given to fulfilling statutory requirements. By necessity, the office is closed when the sole staff member is in a meeting or another location, either in City Hall or outside of City Hall. An additional staff member would allow the office to remain open at times where it would otherwise be closed. Phone calls, correspondence, and in-person visits can be responded to more rapidly. This position is worthy of funding. Please give this your full consideration. There are also some proposed line item increases. Property maintenance, which has been level funded for the last 7 years. Funding in this account is used to remove trees, branches, and other obstacles that pose a hazard at conservation areas for trails, particularly in areas that city crews can't get to, either because they're just difficult to access or you need specialized skill or equipment. Money is also needed to repair kiosks, signage, etc. And the funding in this line item is for the maintenance of all conservation areas. So that includes Horn Pond, Shaker Glen, the Cranberry Bog, Albert John Nature Trail, and more. And then there's the line item for miscellaneous local travel and meetings. And that would be only $100 more than it was 15 years ago in that same account. So that was cut and then level funded since 2014. Money in that account is used for registration fees, for professional conferences, workshops, and training courses for Conservation Commission members and staff. There are 7 commission members. 1 general admission ticket for the MACC Annual Environmental Conference last year was $150. So could only afford to send 1 member. There's training courses, and 1 course section is like $65. More funding is needed. Trail development is also increased, and that would restore the item to the amount that it used to be 10 years ago. It's been level funded since 2017. Money in this fund is used to replace trail marker posts and footbridges. Right now at Horn Pond, there are 26 numbered posts, and then a number of posts that don't have numbers, we call them confirming posts. So each post that needs to be replaced is over $200. That includes the cost of the wood, the cost of the engraving of the number. It includes staining, and thus far, we haven't paid anything for labor. So last year's budget, we were only able to replace 2 posts. The budget before you does represent an increase from last year, but the total Conservation Commission funding is still only a very, very small fraction of a % of the overall city budget. The commission has been able to do programs and great work because of the support of City Council, and I thank you. Please approve this budget. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Councilor Campbell.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi.
I will absolutely support the new position.
Thank you.
I've been on the council 9 years now, and as you know, every single year I have advocated for help for you, a position, and every year it just never came about. The amount of work that your office does is tremendous. And so to finally get somebody, I am thrilled. I'm more than thrilled. I'm so happy for you. I would like to see next year maybe a wish list. It doesn't have to be expensive, like you just said. There are some posts that still need to be replaced. It's $200 per post. So maybe you can get a wish list and, speak with the mayor on this as well, about how many posts do you need to get them fixed? I mean, it sounds silly, but if it's 10 and it's $2,000, I believe that our areas are important. Our conservation areas are important to keep up. So I would hope that next year maybe we can fund a few more little things that can just help, first of all, the city run better, the conservation areas look better. So, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
President Dillon.
How are you tonight, Teresa?
I'm doing great.
I've learned more and more what you folks do because of the Herald Park that's ongoing. So I've really tried to educate myself to see just how the process works. And I can't even come close to the knowledge that you and your members have. I'm very happy and honored to say that many on the Conservation Committee are personal friends of mine. I'm privileged for that. The effort, the care for the community that they put out there is amazing. So certainly I support this, and I will say probably in layman's terms, if you agree with me, that we need to support things like this just to protect ourselves from the watchdogs that are out there, government agencies, because it appears that every year it's easier and easier to get in trouble, and these fines are not cheap. Is that a true statement?
It is much better not to get into trouble than to try to fix it after the fact.
Correct.
Yes.
So, again, I appreciate what you and the Conservation Committee does, and just the general out there making our community better. When you sit in here, the important work, but just as important is what you do out there for our community and Horn Pond Conservation Day and the many other activities. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Mercer Bruin?
It goes without question, Teresa, that I will support this 100%. I'm not quite sure how you managed to do it all these years. And quite frankly, the city council, some of the things we generate here probably is a good 40% of what gets, maybe more, what's happening in the work that's generated in your office. So I applaud the mayor, I applaud you for being so persistent and not saying, I'm out, because quite frankly, I still don't know how you managed to do it. And you have a great board as well. I mean, they're all amazing. A couple of them have gone on site visits on their own personal time when I called them.
Yes.
Amazing.
They are very dedicated.
And for a city that takes such great pride in our open space and conservation spaces, this is long overdue. And it's no surprise to me that the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts has changed the laws and provided all these new things, but provided no funding whatsoever on how to train or do any of it. So if we can help with that, obviously, we will. Thank you.
Councilor DeMambro?
Hi, Teresa. You guys do a great job down there. You do a great job. Unbelievable. I don't know how you do it. To expand on what Councilor Bruin said, probably half of your payload down there comes out of city council and the things that, cross your desk with permits and everything else. As well as so many people enjoy the environments that you guys protect. That community garden, that's off the chart. That's so popular down there. The people love it. They enjoy it. I get calls all winter long, beckoning, when it's going to start up and everything else. I actually have a relative down there. He actually wants more lots than you guys can provide. But in any case, you guys
That was a plug.
Yeah. You guys do a really great job, and I love seeing the photographs and everything that people take at Horn Pond and all the open spaces, and we appreciate everything, and I will support that add-on to your administration down there because it's desperately needed, and we thank you.
Anybody else? Teresa, thank you and everybody on the Conservation Commission and for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. I will also tell the council that I did make a request for another position, which is an assistant conservation administrator. That position has not been created at this time, but I did ask that it be considered. I am hoping that perhaps next year I will be able to come back with that position. So I look forward to that, I hope, next year. But thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your support. Council has been always supportive of the Conservation Commission, and it is very much appreciated. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Next, we have up the Assessor's Office. And that's page 6 in our book.
I think you said 6. 6, I think. 6.
Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
Good evening.
John Conley, Chief Appraiser for the Assessing Department. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize our board members that are with us tonight. Chairman Bob McGuire, Board Member Laurie Medeiros. David Rufo had a prior commitment and was unable to make it tonight, and he does apologize. I'd also like to recognize Jane Francesca. She's our senior residential appraiser in the office, and she does an outstanding job. Then one other thing before we get started, I would just like to recognize and remember Rita McBride from our office, who passed away in April. There is a void in our office, not only work-wise, but personally, and I'd just like to publicly recognize her tonight and thank her for all she did for us. So, if you look to your budget items, you'll see a few items were pretty much level funded. There's two items that we're looking at, and one of them is a $2,000 increase into professional development. We have new staff, and we'll be bringing on new staff hopefully in a month or so. And we're going to need some training to bring them up to speed as we move forward. One of the other line items you'll see there is a partially funded position for the assistant assessor residential appraiser position. We've always had that position to be fully staffed. We have agreed in the past prior years to go without that position to get by. We attempted to do that by using technology. One of the things that you see there on your line item is mobile assessor. And what that technology actually does is, instead of one of the staff going out, doing an inspection, writing down information on a piece of paper, then coming back to the office and entering it into the system, this system allows us through an iPad to actually go out, take photos, and we actually have that vision database on site, so we can actually make live entries, so it's not a waste of time for double entries. So we're trying to be more efficient with that. We've also worked with the engineering department on using near map technology, which has not only benefited us through aerial photography as far as analyzing some properties, but it's also helped DPW, engineering, and I believe police and fire also utilize that service. So we've tried to utilize technology to the best that we can to maximize production within the office. But that being said, on discussions with the mayor, after this fiscal year, we'll be 2 years out from our recertification, 5-year recertification with Mass Department of Revenue. And we're required to have so many cyclical inspections by our in-house staff. So in order to meet those deadlines, and through the recent losses in our office, right now individuals like Jane Ventresca should be out in the field. She's assisting us with trying to get the daily duties and service the public the best we can right now. So we're falling behind a little bit. So we're trying to plan ahead and be proactive in this, so that come recertification time, we won't have any unkindly directives from the state. So the way we planned it in discussions with the mayor and also with the board is, we anticipate bringing on a new clerk, like I said, in hopefully a month, and then trying to get that individual up to speed. And then as we look forward, we're looking towards the second half of the year, trying to fill that other position if we can. As this council knows, in the past, we've had advertisements out there for a few years that we hadn't had responses on, just trying to find the people with the proper qualifications that can do the job. So that is a hope that we'll be able to find that in the second half of the year to get our office back to full staff and provide the service that the public does need. Some of the other line items I think that you should be aware of is the mayor, along with the council, has funded us where we do personal property audits within the city, and that's a $20,000 contract that typically happens. The initial return on investment for that $20,000 was $227,000 in tax dollars. And most recently, we'll be doing a revised and amended bill that's due by June 20th with the state, would actually raised another $90-something thousand tax dollars for through the municipal audit system. And the good thing about that is it's making sure that everyone is paying their fair and equitable share. And by providing these the expertise with these audits, it is not only fair and equitable to all taxpayers, but also generating additional revenue for the city. And one of the other things that you may see as far as on just the personal property that's outsourced with Real Estate Research Corporation, you may remember that we went to the state due to their lack of personnel also in assisting us and saying, instead of you have that one big lump sum for a 1-year revaluation where they try to get staff out in the field, they approved us for a 5-year contract where we're able to do that over a 5-year period. So the benefit to us and to the taxpayers is that every year that they're going out there and they're generating and looking for new growth, which helps not only us, but also getting additional revenue that benefits the taxpayers. And everything else is primarily level funded, and I don't know if you have any questions relating to any of the line items.
President Dillon.
John, thanks to you and your staff. Are you seeing on the commercial rates and everything going okay? You can't open a newspaper without seeing Boston having their tax troubles with the commercial properties. And
Yeah, Boston's going to be struggling a lot, kind of with the COVID situation, and then the state itself, where a lot of the state employees now are working from home. They pulled 1 million square feet of office space out of downtown Boston, so major impact for Boston and their values. So it's still really a COVID recovery. As I said, and I think at the classification hearing last year, we saw Woburn actually benefit a little bit, where they were taking companies moving out of Boston, coming to Woburn, smaller amount of space, but using those as satellite offices where, you know, the hybrid workforce may be going in there 2 to 3 days a week. So they were smaller space, but it was space that Woburn didn't have occupied before. So. And as discussions with the mayor, as we all know, the commercial and, market is feeling the pain. The interest rates right now are impacting a lot of decisions. A lot of, corporations and everything, they go on leverage with financing. And so the great thing about that's what's going on in the city, we have so many projects that we've, the council has had approved and are ready to go, shovel ready, but now, in order to, actually gain those tax dollars, we have to get shovels in the ground and see some of these projects come to fruition. So, so we're seeing right now, kind of things with the commercial market, I guess you would say stagnant. And I don't know, this residential market, even with the higher interest rates, we're still seeing, incredible sales. And I'm sure everyone recognized that Woburn had its first $2 million single-family residential sale recently. So Woburn has been discovered, and increased values for residential as are evidence of that. So.
Well, I appreciate the explanation. Appreciate. Recently, I went into the your office looking for some information, and the staff, I would have never noticed, except I knew the passing of Rita, but I would have never seen the difference in how your office ran. It was efficient, the information was given to me right away, and it was important, because I'm sure I was treated just the same as every other citizen out there.
And I can't say enough about Jane Van Truska and Rita Nye. I mean, the shortage of staff that we have right now, they've been stepping up tremendously. So I would like to thank them publicly also. So
I would as well. Thank you. Thank you for all you do as well.
Councilor Demers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John, during the last tax classification hearing, I forget what utility it was, but we were benefiting on their personal property values.
yeah, so that was Eversource, and that gravy train is coming to an end.
I just wanted to say,
And,
are we hoping that,
we're not only saying that, but if you're going down by Horn Pond and everything else, you can see the end of that project coming to
Right.
fruition. You're seeing it too. So that was a great benefit for new growth. One of the other great things that actually helped us out is we had prior tax filing with them regarding construction work in progress that we had a kind of pretty involved negotiations going back and forth, that we felt that we were correct in our valuation of them, and it generated, $2.5 million of tax growth for the city at that time. There was a fiscal '22 filing that we were successful in. They withdrew the case, and once again, you'll see the benefit of that. I don't know, Mayor, for the OPEB, has that been brought before the council yet, or? Pending. So that's pending, so you'll be seeing the benefit of that, because us being successful there from the overlay, we're able to do some transfer from the overlay account to also now the proposal for the OPEB account that, once again benefits the city. So, So there was a tremendous amount of new growth. That Eversource for the construction work in progress, we don't anticipate seeing
Okay,
that.
and-
And we're still collecting all the information and data as we move forward now, so.
On another note, where you mentioned we're still waiting for approved projects to actually get the shovels in the ground,
Yes.
does your office make projections ahead of time based on the plans that had been before us? Or is it, once there's an occupancy permit, then there's an assessment made on what was finally built?
So we assess it as, because our data value is January 1st of the prior year, so for fiscal '25, which will be, starting July 1st, is the data value is January 1st, 2024. So that's the actual data values. And the reason for that is because we work off of historical, proven, factual data in order to come up with our valuations. And so we follow the DOR standards for that. But as far as projections, even, the great experts right now with this, financing interest rate climate, it's
Virtually impossible
yeah,
to do it
just,
right,
you
yep.
know.
All right, it was just
Gypsy.
just a thought, because, everybody sees how we're passing, or the special permits passed, or these projects had gone in through 40B years ago that really haven't hit the ground with a shovel yet. And those
And I
are
mean-
revenues we're not gonna be realizing in terms of the assessed value of that property until.
And once again, we'll be seeing, some pretty good residential new growth again, but, take the Vale, for example. The projects that have gotten over there and started construction, that's residential rate taxation. We have the condos there and the senior living. And then the commercial component, right now, that's stagnant, so, hopes of. But the positive thing is, the mayor and the council have approved these things. I mean, look with the biotech, where you have, the platinum standards, so, biotech companies coming in are ready to go, and it makes the process easier for them. You look at what's going on with the commercial tax rate from last year compared to our surrounding communities. We talked about that at the classification hearing. We're substantially lower, so that makes Woburn attractive. So we have a lot of positive things, I think, to market for the city. It's just right now, this financial climate is kind of causing a kind of stagnant market, so.
Thank you.
Councilor DeMambro.
Hi, John. So you and I have talked about this before. Our commercial base helps out our residents, as we all know. It helps. Our commercial base for taxes offsets the residential taxes immensely. Being commercial is stagnant. What's your assessment on the future? I've been hearing advanced technologies, not so much commercial, because commercial space is in an abundance, and it's basically a dog with fleas right now, but advanced technologies and industries. Do you see that as something that could be profitable or coming down the pike that offsets all of that commercial, that will help, offset the
Well, that's been kind of
taxes?
constant, just in a different component, where, the AI is still kind of research and development, kind of along the lines of what's going on in the biotech market, which is also kind of a hybrid, research and development facility, based on what their different needs are. Some need tremendous amount of clean room space and limited office. Other ones need, office space, support staff, and then they'll just have some smaller lab space. So the good thing about it, with some of these pending projects that have approvals, is, they're ready to go. So if the technology does go there, they have the opportunity, ground up to adjust to the market. So, like I said, with it being vacant, it leaves opportunity.
And do you see this stagnation any time in the near future ending, or do you see it
I don't know.
possibly
To be
going
honest
through
with you, I thought
25 to
the rates
26?
by now would have some kind of a positive movement, but it hasn't. And now they're saying, there may be a possible increase again. So right now, it's, we can't do a prediction. Like I said, our office goes off of factual data, factual historical data, and that's what we look at. And then, like I always say in our office, we go where the data takes us. So that's the great thing about, assessment valuation, is that, you're not going on hypotheticals, you're going on factual data that you're inputting into the system. And then, Alderman, as far as on like your allocations, once again, if your commercial's down, your residential's up, because we're already at the maximum 1.75 shift, then all of a sudden the percentage shift for the residential, it does impact, the residential taxpayer.
Excellent. It's all good stuff. I thank you. Thank you for you and everything your staff does. Thank you.
Anybody else? John, thank you and your office for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Next up, last but not least for tonight, we have Public Works and Cemetery. On page 33, it begins.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Duran, Superintendent of Public Works.
Good evening, Jay.
Good evening.
We're basically, many of you guys have seen, been here before. Basically, level funded budget. We did have some operating costs that have gone up. There's probably 6 or 8 line items. But basically, and some have gone down. But basically, it's pretty much the same, but some things like in the water department, federal testing, things out of our control have gone up. We saw it coming, we knew this day was coming, and here it is. So we have it there in front of you. I'm here to tell you the DPW is in good shape, probably as good as it's been in a long time. We do have some of the same issues, that I'm sure you've heard all night long, and maybe last night or whatever the other nights were, with hiring. But, we have HRs working on getting more people. And, I've always stood by the fact that, like, if I get somebody in there, I want to make sure they're good people and they're going to stay. Again, DPW does more than you think. I know, if you have an individual question, I guess. But we do a lot of things behind the scenes, outside the box. We try to maximize the funds as best we can. So if you have any specific questions, I'm here to answer them.
Councilor Demers?
Jay, can you just explain the facilities manager position in the budget for $83,000?
So that's in there right now. We're looking at that. We're not sure that that's really the right amount at this point. I think we will probably be back to talk about that. I don't think that's something that we're going to get the person we're looking for at that rate. But again, I think HR has taken a little bit of a look at it. We're working with the mayor's office, but we may be back to revisit that.
Okay. All right. That's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor DeMembro?
Hi, Jay.
For what you and you guys do throughout this city with this budget and asking for an extremely modest 3.28% increase is remarkable. I know what you guys do. You guys do a hell of a job. You guys are all over the city. I know how you guys are doing all kinds of different projects throughout the city. You try to offset the cost of bringing in subs, and you guys do a great job. And there's not only, the DPW, the water department, but also the cemetery department. I was up at Woodbrook this past weekend. I was placing flags in honor of the veterans. That's 32 acres that's pretty well manicured, and the guys do a nice job up there with everything else they have to take care of on a day-to-day basis, and we all know what that is. So I appreciate everything you and your team does, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
President Dillon?
How are you tonight, Jay?
Doing well. How are you?
Again, being in the Thursday meetings with all the department heads, I'm learning, I'm seeing even more what the different departments do. And your department, talk about 24/7, snow, rain, wind. All we're dealing with now is famine coming, right? Everything you deal with professionally, you're out there quickly, you're dealing with people sometimes when they're at their most desperate. And whether the sewer backup, flood, whatever, it's taken care of quickly, professionally, and your department's a credit to our city. And I know it's appreciated by many residents because I've been told that as well. Maybe a good time just to update us on your newest hire, Assistant DPW, Rennie Carroll. How's the transition going? Is he hasn't quit yet?
Honestly, it was the best pick. Thank you all for your assistance there. You know, I think it was really clear he was the top candidate. He's even better than I thought. You know, he started 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. He's acclimating well with the DPW, working well with some of the guys. You know, some of my senior guys are here. Those guys deserve the credit, not me. But Rennie's going to be a welcome addition. He's hitting the ground running. And there's a lot. Like, there really is a lot of things going on, he jumped in, he couldn't make it tonight. I said, don't worry about it. Like, he's not really part of the budget right now, per se. He's learned about the MWRA restoration, the Eversource restoration, all those different projects. And, we came from Groveland. Like, and they have the same thing, only different, but this is a much larger scale. And he'll be good. Like, I think you guys will all enjoy working with him. I know I do already. And I know we made the right pick. We made the right pick.
And then just a side note, Memorial Day, the cemetery looked great. The staff was there. They presented themselves well to the community. So thank you for that as well.
Thank you. And I do want to recognize John Sawyer. He's here. Do you want to take that separate? I'm not sure if you want to do.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should take it separate.
Yeah, take it separately.
Okay.
But again, thank you for what you do and your staff as well.
Thank you.
Councilor Mercer Bruin.
Jay, I just wanted to say personally thank you, not just for the work that you do with us on the council, and I know you and I do a lot of work together because much of it is happening in Ward 5. So I so appreciate the amount of time that you put in to these plans that you have to look at and the education that you've always provided me over the years and the guidance. So thank you for that. And to your team, who does an amazing job every day. I had an opportunity to have a quick little conference call with you and Rennie on a particular matter that's in front of the council recently. And again, I make jokes about this, but I'm not really joking. Thank you for not blocking my calls. I only call when I need to, but I do appreciate everything you and your entire team does every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilor Campbell.
Hi, Jay. I'm very happy to hear that the deputy superintendent, that everything's going well. I know he's only been there a week and a half, but that's okay. He seems extremely qualified, and I'm glad that you're happy with the pick. You need somebody that you can count on like that. I want to thank you for really, I feel like we're finally getting close to the end of finishing the Eversource project. And I just want to thank you for keeping me posted on the progress, working with Eversource to really, especially on Arlington Road and the other areas, really pushing them to meet the standards that you had put in place originally so that the traffic would keep flowing well. And now, especially on Arlington Road and Lake Street, they're in the process of finishing up and just beautifying the work. So I want to thank you for that. And like Darlene, I do want to thank you that when I call, you get right back to me. If you don't pick up right then and there, you will call me within minutes. And I really do appreciate that. But I also would like to thank your team. The amount of work that they do and the talent that they have to be able to think outside of the box, to really be able to do so many different jobs and tasks, and they do it so well. So I just want to make sure that I thank them as well.
There you go. I'll make sure I pass that along in the morning.
Yeah, thank you.
And tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor at Large Toro.
Hey, Jay.
Evening.
Nothing specific to the budget. I just want to thank you. You're, we've had multiple conversations. Whenever I have an issue, I call you, you get right to it, and you're always responsive and call me back. So I can say personally in my short time on the council now that you're definitely one of the easiest department heads to work with and reach out to, so I appreciate it. And especially a special thanks considering you've been short-staffed without the assistant superintendent that just came on, so you had a lot on your plate and you've always been willing to help, so I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Feeling is mutual.
Anybody else have any questions for Jay? No? All right. If John wants to come up, we'll talk about the cemetery now as well.
Okay. Round two. So, this is John Say, Cemetery Committee.
Hello.
Hey, John.
Chairman of the Cemetery Commission. So regarding this, the only thing that we really probably need to talk about regarding the cemetery, like, we have switched, we did have some complaints in the beginning of the year. The snowstorms and things like that don't help, but no excuses here. And, one of the, think about it, one of the only snowstorms we had was like at the end of March. So people were complaining about leaves and things like that, and, getting the grounds to be cleaned up. So, the guys that are working there, they're doing their best. We had, as you're well aware, we outsourced the contract to an outside vendor. That actually did work, and it worked very well for 3 years, and we had a great price. The contract was up. We renewed them for 3 years. The contract was up. It was a 1-year contract, renewed each year, and the price has gone up basically double. So you will see an item in there that we've worked with the mayor's office and the cemetery commission, and there's going to be that additional cost is going to be split between the city and between the cemetery. We did meet with John and I, and as well as Rennie in Orazio. We met with the new contractor. I'm excited that these guys they were local guys, Cassidy Landscaping. They're local, and they're looking forward to getting going. So they'll be starting roughly around July 1st. Once we get going, I'm confident that we'll have a really good relationship with them. In spite of the price increase, the way I'm looking at it is we got a deal for 3 years, honestly. Anything you?
It was more than a deal. It was a win for the city, and we were very happy with the work. When the bids came in this time, everybody was double the price, including that vendor. So, but they weren't the lowest bidder, so Cassidy Landscaping is. I like that they're a local company. I think they're going to be responsive to our needs, and they actually stated that we're responsive, we want to build a relationship. And that's what we want. We want somebody that's going to answer our calls when we have something, we have an issue, we want them there. We don't want to be put on the back burner, and we feel confident with that.
And just one last thought on that. DPW has been working with them, doing some trees. We're getting a local tree vendor to do some tree work up there. We realize that it's tough to get tree guys. Like we're trying to get them for the right price. They always work well with us. DPW guys are up there doing stuff at night. So we're doing our best to try to make this work as quickly as possible. And we want that cemetery to look good. It's local, and you're getting people at their worst time, unfortunately.
And the thing with the tree work's so necessary, because that's what makes the cemetery an attractive place. It's such a beautiful place. So we have to maintain the trees, which means we're taking out trees. We also want to plant new ones. So that's kind of a process that we're going through. It's just a big expense to remove those trees, because it's such an umbrella. They're huge. And it's not just they're coming in half an hour taking out a tree at the end of your driveway. It's a little different than that. They're coming in with a crane and trying to take out multiple trees at the same time. So,
without damaging headstones, I might add.
Any questions or comments from the council? Councilor Mercer Bruin.
I just want to thank you both. John, you've been on the Cemetery Commission for a long time, and we're very appreciative that you keep coming back, so thank you. And I feel kind of funny bringing this up, but I promised that I would. I've gotten a few calls, and I don't know how the Cemetery Commission or DPW solves this particular problem. Many people walk their dogs and aren't mindful about the rules, about picking, what's left behind up. That's the kindest way I could say it. So I'm not sure how we even, to me, I still can't even imagine that people do that sort of thing, but we don't want to tell people they can't use the park after night, or have you been contacted about some of those complaints, or?
Well, we do have signs that no dogs are allowed, and many times I hear, geez, I always walk the dog there, but you're not supposed to have the dog there, because some can be picked up and other deposits cannot be picked up.
Right.
And so we do have signs saying that. We've talked
Maybe
at
Jay could
meetings-
help with that, Jay Donovan? Our animal, is that?
Really have policing powers, though.
Okay,
You know, again,
It's
okay.
always been an issue.
Right. Okay, well, maybe we can talk about it after this and,
again, we have signs up. I mean, people just need to police themselves, honestly.
clearly that's not happening.
The staff will tell somebody if they see them with, walking a dog, that says, please, you have to understand, it's not allowed here, and usually people are responsive to
Right.
it, but then they come right back, the next day they might come right back in.
Gosh.
It's kind of a difficult thing to have, to have the police come and police it. That's,
Oh, gosh, no.
that's,
No, I-
but it is upsetting to,
Right.
when people come in, they see.
People's loved ones are
Yeah.
buried there. I mean, okay. Thank you both for all that you do.
Councilor Demers.
Yeah, I think simply put, it's respect a final burial ground as opposed to making it a park. It's not a recreation location. It's a final resting place for families, loved ones. So that alone should be the awareness that people need.
We've actually talked about it at cemetery meetings, things like that, but it's difficult to enforce. There's a lot to enforce. I mean, if we followed the letter to the law at the cemetery, like, they wouldn't be able to do anything. So we're just picking and choosing as best we can with our battles?
Of course, yeah.
Councilor DeMambro.
John, I was up there, like you heard me earlier. I was up there for Memorial Day weekend, placing flags, and the place looks beautiful. I have a lot of relatives up there. I'm always up there, paying my condolences. The one thing that was concerning too, besides the dog droppings, was I had the opportunity to speak to one of you guys up there, Clayton. Great guy. And he was running around with the backhoe, and he was emptying out the trash receptacles up there. And I just happened to look in the bucket, and I was actually surprised at what I saw in the bucket of the machine. I was like, where'd you get all that stuff? And he goes, this is what people do. They come in here and they drop off their personal trash, as well as like printers and computer monitors and things of that nature. And I was horrified by that, as a matter of fact. And I'm not necessarily sure, I'm asking how to police it or anything. I just want the public to know, like my colleague had well stated, it's a cemetery. It's where people's loved ones have gone to rest. It's not a dump receptacle, and it's not a place for your dog to do its duty. And I wish people in the public would realize that. And I understand the taxpayers and so on and so forth, but there is such a thing as respect. And I respect what you guys do up there, and you guys do a heck of a job. And it showed this past weekend, and I thank you and your staff up there for what they do. Thank you, Jay, as well.
Councilor Toro.
Thank you. I've mentioned this in a committee meeting before, but John is my neighbor, and we've had multiple conversations about the cemeteries, and he's very passionate, and I'm certainly appreciative of all you do for our cemeteries. Thank you, John. One question that I have, I mentioned this, I've discussed this with the mayor, I don't know where we stand with it, is I've gotten complaints about people coming into the cemetery causing mischief after hours. And I know at one point in time, we had in the budget, someone paid to actually open and close or lock the cemetery, and that got if I understand correctly, got pulled out by the prior administration. I did ask that get put back in, and I'm not sure where that stands with this budget. I think it's a necessity. We've gotten the complaints. It's not a large expense, so I'm
We
not sure.
actually do have that issue on our agenda for the next meeting. It did come up in our last meeting. We're meeting in 2 weeks, and we're trying to find the right way as far as when to close the gates, who to have do it. It is on the agenda, and it certainly would help keep people from coming in and dropping printers in trash barrels, because they're not going to walk in and drop a printer. So when they drive through, so it's something that is on our agenda for in 2 weeks, and I'll be sure to let you know where we go with it.
And now, not being super informed on the process, who makes a decision on if that position gets funded through, I'm assuming, the cemetery commission or the department, is that something through the mayor's office? Is that something at the meeting you approve or the committee approves and then seeks someone out? How does that work?
Well, when we go through the process at the next meeting, we may forward on to the mayor a request to provide this funding so that we can have that, the gates closed. You know, we haven't, it used to be closed at dusk, and there are issues where people will be in the cemetery when it gets closed, and then that's an issue with, the police have to come to get them, to let them out. It's something that I'm gonna speak with, police chief and see what his thoughts are on it, as far as the best time to do it, or is there another solution to it? Frankly, I feel when they're wide open,
It's inviting.
it's a problem.
Yeah.
We got the kids with the bikes in there as well. You know, the kids, they're in the, riding around with the bikes, and, I mean, it's not, like you said, it's not a playground. And, you know, short of having the police have to patrol it, maybe our best bet is to have them, at least the gate secured, would cut down some of the mischief.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
There's pros and cons on all of it, like,
Right.
some things you don't think of, like, but you know, it's great to, you know, police around and do the best you can, and it looks better, but the first time somebody gets locked in there,
Probably won't get locked in again
It
after that
happens.
first time, though.
It happens. In summertime, when it doesn't get dark till after 8 o'clock, and people do go in, and, you know, they're sitting there, you know, reminiscing and having their thoughts, and then they go to leave and the gates are closed.
We used to have keys in all the cruiser rings. Every beat that touched it had the key to the gates.
There you go. That would be helpful, too.
And then when somebody was stuck, we'd go up, it was the people on Salem Street who used to lock the gates.
Councilor Demers.
Has there been any thought to setting up seasonal times of when the gates open? So that you'd have a, you know, daylight savings time, you'd have dedicated times, and then during the summer, longer days, you'd have dedicated times where, you know, the gates closed at 8, or in the winter, the gates closed at 6?
It was always covered with the dusk, closed at dusk.
Yeah, I think,
But
you know,
that's vague, I
Yeah,
understand.
it is
that.
vague, and I think that's what'll catch some people that are in there. I think if there's a dedicated time.
Right, right.
You can change it seasonally.
Sure.
But the dedicated times, I think, would be helpful to the folks coming in to visit
Right.
versus,
we've looked
so
at
we,
a bunch of
so we
different
wouldn't have
security
any.
things.
What's
as far
that?
as cameras and things like that. We've talked about, at least talked about.
Sure.
You know, it's not really coming to fruition right now,
Yeah,
but
no, but it's, these discussions are something that's great because
Right.
it's constituent matters, and we'd like to hear it from you folks because
Right.
unfortunately, I'm not reading meetings from the cemetery commission, the meeting minutes.
you're always welcome.
I'll gladly attend.
President Dillon.
Yes, thank you. Memorial Day, cemetery looked great. Your staff was there, very professional. Just a great outlook for the whole community to have that part of our city look so well. So thank you for that. And thank you for kicking in on the new contract. We're really in a tough budget time, so anything that you can do, which you've already agreed to do, is a great help. And hopefully, maybe eventually, it will come back down when everything gets less expensive.
Well, we did have to find a solution, and we do like the landscaping contract, is definitely a win. It was nice at the lower money, but it's still gonna be a benefit.
Sure. And again, I like the idea that it's Woburn Company, Woburn Pride. You know, I'm sure they're gonna be very vested in it, so, great job.
Councilor Campbell.
Memorial Day, Woodbrook looked fabulous. Everything looked really wonderful. I did notice a couple extremely large trees with the pink ribbon around it. I mean, one had to have been over 3 feet in diameter. I'm assuming these are some of the trees that are being taken down?
They are targeted.
Yeah, okay. Who made the decision that, are the trees sick? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, they're definitely,
They're-
yeah.
They're done.
They're dead. Like, they're not even dying, they're dead.
Okay, they're not
So
just dying, they're
I
dead.
had them identify with surveyors flagging, exactly which one, so there was they weren't cutting down a live one.
Yeah, okay, I just, and you're right, trying to get the stump up, being so close to some of the gravestones is gonna be tricky for sure.
Sure.
But, okay, yeah, that was it, I just wanted to ask on that, thank you.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? Jay, thank you for coming out. Thank you, everything that your department does. John, thank you for everything you do at the cemetery.
I'll be sure to tell the staff,
Thank you.
Pat Flaherty and the guys, they take ownership of it, they really try hard.
Yeah, thank
And they'll be
you,
glad to hear that, the good comments.
thank you.
Guys, thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned.
I was off by an hour.
Next time.